Tell me I'm pretty. Yeah, this is how I'm spending my Friday night. That's good. That's tasty. Hey guys, what is going on? It is Rebecca Main here, ready to delve into another write, rewrite to discuss writing the Breakout Novel by Daniel Maass. I really shouldn't cover his name so much. This chapter is all about character. Oh, yes, love characters. I took some notes in this bad boy, that chapter. Got a lot of things underlined, got a lot of ideas in this chapter, and it was just so good. So, this chapter on characters, it starts off in kind of an interesting way, poses a question, that question being, what do folks remember most about a novel? Which is going to be different for everybody, right? Except one of the most popular answers, if not the most popular answer, is the characters. Duh. Like, why even ask this question? We're on this chapter. You gotta know it's gotta be characters, right? Great characters, as Maass says, are the key ingredient to great fiction. And Maass breaks down so much shit in this chapter. It's really quite incredible. We get what are the four qualities of larger-than-life characters, which are strength, inner conflict, self-regard, wit and spontaneity, which kind of feels like 5, but we'll give it to him. We go into dark protagonists and how to write them correctly, how to write them well and thoughtfully, really. We go into the highest qualities a character can have, which are sympathy, self-sacrifice, strength, and forgiveness. And then we go into building out a cast. And I guess we should just dive literally right in, because why not? First up in chapter on characters and how to build these larger-than-life characters, we've got those 4 qualities, kind of the more like 5, and it starts with strength. And maybe we all have more or less the same qualities that we would ascribe to strength, and so does Maass. And he gives a very big breakdown of what strength might mean to all of us. So allow me to read that and maybe block the light. Doesn't really help much. It's just how the lighting's going to be. What does strength mean to you? Cunning, stamina, insight, intuition, wisdom, compassion, courtesy, discipline, self-denial, courage, outspokenness, cultural pride, leadership, knowledge, open-mindedness, reverence, humor, mercy, hope, even-handedness, thrift, gambling for a good cause, perseverance, humility, trust, loyalty, need, I go on. It's just an entire paragraph of listing the strengths. And he goes on to say, even a plainly drawn, one-dimensional protagonist can grip the popular imagination if he is a character of strength. And Maass uses James Patterson's Alex Cross series as an example, but what I found most interesting about him using it as an example is that after citing a few paragraphs out of James Patterson books, he goes on to say, Patterson's writing is not artful. If his novels offered us only their twisty plots, I am not sure they would hold us. There is a bug. I don't think I got it. But I also don't know where it went. We'll just continue. If his novels offered us only their twisty plots, I am not sure they would hold us. Alex Cross, motherfucker, there it is. Nope, it's just not going to happen. Let's try this one more time. From the top, if this motherfucking fly doesn't die. Patterson's writing is not artful. If his novels offered us only their twisty plots, I am not sure they would hold us. Alex Cross, though, has a moral conviction. His determination to do right is a strength that gives Patterson's novels a powerful appeal. Again and again, they jump to the top of the bestseller lists. Some authors imagine that Patterson has been made by his publishers. Not so. No author can write atop the list for so many years without appealing to the public. What has made Patterson is Alex Cross. Yeah, strength. I'm trying to think of... I'm on a bar stool at an island. Couldn't cross my legs. I'm just trying to think of the strengths I like to see in characters. And I suppose it is sticking to it's loyalty. Loyalty really grabs me in a character because I think it can be a double-edged sword. Because you can have loyalty to your family or your friends, but what if your family or friends aren't good for you, or they are like the cause of conflict in your main plot, in your story, against your character. So I do like loyalty. Feel free to drop a comment of what strength you like most, about what quality of strength you like to see most in a character. Like, what automatically gets you. And I also think there is a sort of humbleness that maybe not. Maybe I don't like humbleness. I don't know. I definitely like loyalty, though. And because it's that nicely double-edged sword, it actually brings me into Maass's next point about what makes a really larger-than-life character, and that is inner conflict. He goes on to say, it is easy to catalog the qualities that we originally associate with greatness, vision, insight, high intelligence, leadership, accomplishment, wisdom, to name a few. If you were to construct a character that embodied all those qualities, however, you would wind up with someone about whom it is not very interesting to read. Why? Because there is nothing left to discover, nothing unresolved about such a paragon. Yeah, I think you always need a sort of inner conflict in your characters, don't you? That's what tugs you along with them, and maybe makes you root against them at times. Oh, brighter. Next, we have self-regard, which is really just kind of like a self-awareness about, the character needs to have like a self-awareness about themselves, that their emotions need to matter to them. They aren't going to dismiss what they experience. They embrace life. They wonder about their responses to events and what such responses mean. They take themselves seriously. And by the way, a sense of humor about oneself is the flip side of the same coin. And I do like that. I like that especially because it makes me think of Jax. If If you have read my series, a Soulmark series, he is in book 4, 5, and 6. And he kind of has, he is able to really laugh at himself, poke fun at others, but sometimes, and I know this, and I hope my readers can kind of feel it at times too, there is definitely that humor he uses is also just a guard. And we've never been able to see inside Jax, really, to get to see that more upfront and more personal. But you will in the next series I write, so that is exciting. The last component of being of a larger-than-life character is wit and spontaneity. And Maass uses the example of, I thought this was just a clever example. He was saying how we like seeing these, we like reading about experiences that we wouldn't do. Let me make this a little more clear, because that was an awful explanation. Say you're sitting in class. You are a student now. You are sitting in class and the teacher asks a question of your classmates and you. Nobody does anything. A child is called upon and they sass back. They sass back hard. You would never do it. I would never. I was not that kid in school. But that person who spoke and sassed, that's who we like to read about. The ones who aren't afraid to say what's kind of running through all of our minds. And those are the 4 components of a larger-than-life character. Now, let's get into dark protagonists. This one, guys. Ooh, I loved it. Although I did make a side note, right, along the margins, because I didn't quite agree with something Maass had said. As far as dark protagonists go, it says, a character in trouble is engaging if he has sympathetic qualities, e.g. he is aware that he is in trouble and tries to change. We can forgive anyone who is trying to be good, even 70 times 7, like the Bible says. I had no idea the Bible said that. What we cannot tolerate is willful self-destructiveness. There is little sympathy for that behavior. But I kind of disagree. And in my margin notes I said, I think it can be used once. That kind of willful self-destructiveness, at least once, is what I really should have said, to gain sympathy for a character, but more makes it immediately tiresome. I think when you have a dark protagonist who falls and it's hard for them to get back up and they have that willful, destructive nature about them, you can forgive that once or twice. You are still trying. They're just trying their best. They're down on their luck and nothing is going their way. I think it is completely realistic to write a character who is having trouble finding their footing again, climbing out of the hole they have found themselves in. But you have to there's got to be a grace period, right? Even for that kind of destructive behavior. It's not that it won't gain sympathy. I think it just makes you sad in a different way for that character. It makes you root a little bit harder for them, right? So I didn't necessarily agree with that, but he also says about dark protagonists, one of the most frequent faults I find in submissions, particularly from mid-career novelists in crisis, is that their main characters are unsympathetic. Ironically, this is often the truest of novelists in crisis who send me their latest manuscripts with the assurance, this is the best thing I have ever written. And really, those novels, he then goes on to say, are portraying really these dark and moody stories that just have no light. There's no light to be seen, no light at the end of the tunnel, no silver lining. It's just dark and it's moody and it's hard to read. So you can't just have completely angry, cynical, depressed, dark protagonists. There's got to be something more to them. There's got to be layers. And now let's go into the 4 qualities. Oh, sorry. We're going to go into the highest qualities, which there are 4 of a character. And those are in my notes. And they say sympathy, self-sacrifice, strength, and forgiveness. Strength again. So we're not going to rehash strength, but we can dig a little into that sympathy, self-sacrifice, and forgiveness. Because Maass says, and this is definitely up for debate, he says, though, the more lasting and powerful impression of a just went right in the middle of this sentence. Not make sense. Before we leave the subject of strength and sympathy, I would like to suggest that there are 2 character qualities that leave a deeper, more lasting, and powerful impression of a character than any other. Forgiveness and self-sacrifice. And in my notes, I'm just like, the 4 qualities that make a breakout character: sympathy, self-sacrifice, strength, forgiveness. So I guess that's my personal take on this. Self-sacrifice. I mean, when done right, it is certainly a phenomenal quality in a character. However, isn't it a little predictable? Right? Kind of like they're going to save the day, going to sacrifice themselves to save their friends and family, but what about the character that doesn't? Maybe that's the person you want to read about. I don't know. Throwing it out there. I do agree that forgiveness is a super powerful quality to give a character, especially after they've been through hardship or personal attack or whatever their circumstance is that is so terrible, maybe traumatizing, maybe not at all. Just the fact that they can find it within themselves to forgive and not be weighed down by anger and vengeance, that could be a really powerful transformational journey of a character, in their character arc, and provide some really therapeutic reading, right? Forgiveness, self-sacrifice. Wow, I didn't realize I felt that strongly about self-sacrifice, and I definitely write that a lot, I think, in some of my stories. I really don't like it in movies, so I'll tell you that. Building a cast. Let's build a cast, Daniel Maass. We get 3 little mini sections about building a cast. They are advanced character relationships, sidekicks and narrators, and depth and differentiation of character. So let's jump back. Advanced character relationships. I have a couple of things underlined, so let's just dig right into those. Another technique of breakout character building is to make moments when characters measure each other. That is, when they voice to themselves or to others their opinions of other characters in the story. A character viewed from different angles is automatically a richer creation. Not every other character will see the subject character in the same way. A breakout novelist will also make moments when characters measure how their opinions of others have changed. So just going back a sentence or two, as he speaks about how important it is to have other characters' voice to themselves or to others, their opinions of other characters in the story. I do like that, and I have done that in a Soulmark series. Sometimes it's subtle, other times it is not, but because in my series, each book revolves around a different couple, a different protagonist, heroine, those relationships get to be moved forward in each subsequent book, but in more of like the background. And you might find that there are tensions between some of the characters going from book to book as they evolve, because not every relationship is like peachy keen. Like Quinn is kind of just okay with Zoelle. They're not like the best of friends. And it took Callie, in my mind, like a long time to really get along well with all of the pack. She does by the end, but like some of these feelings that aren't like main stage in their story, I don't forget that they are there in the character as a whole, and I think that is important. In book 4 and on, the very last scene of book 4 is a dinner scene in Mr. Vrana. And there is a lot of fucking tension at that table. Kind of a weird love square triangle situation going on. And that carries on into book 5 and into book 6. It's there. It's just in the background. Every character has a different point of view, different experience, different feelings. I really try my best to keep track of those, but I do think it brings a layer of extra depth. And it's something I find really fun as a reader in watching a character's story progress on an individual scale. They evolve. They carry these feelings with them, and it determines how they act sometimes, when they act more emotionally over logically. Anyway, that's my spiel about that. Now let's get into sidekicks and narrators, in which I basically say nothing. Apparently I didn't find it helpful. So we're just going to go on to the last one. Depth and differentiation of character. Just as detailing is the secret of a memorable setting, so depth is the secret of memorable characters. Depth is the degree of detail you bring to your people. Quick brushstrokes are fine in openings, but in the body of the breakout novel, characters can only grow rich if they are examined from many angles. Brilliant. Read just about any breakout novel and you will find its characters are revealed in a number of ways. And that's just so fun to do. Those little details that you get to like bring to life and expand upon. Love those. I love those as a writer. I love those as a reader. And as far as differentiation go, Maass says, where does he say it? Character differentiation is the technique of making the characters in your cast different and distinct from one another. Okay, yeah. Duh. Here's where diagrams and charts help. Contrast is the key. When characters are hard to keep straight, it is often because they are not sufficiently individualized. I don't use diagrams, I don't use charts, but I have started using Campfire to really keep track of my world building and keeping my characters straight. He does mention tags, character tags. Those are little things your characters will do. Maybe they always fiddle with their hair. Maybe they're always biting their lip. Oh, so attractive when you do it like that. Maybe this is always their thinking pose. You know, they're always going to do something, that little tick that they do, the thing that they wear, or the style in which they wear something, the way in which they say, or a phrase. They might say something over and over again. That is their tag. And it is important. It's good to have those. It helps readers, and it can be something quirky and fun-loving, or you can really fucking hate it. But you get it. The point is not to do it too much. Don't overdo a tag. Nobody likes that. Right, I use Campfire to sort out my characters and keep them straight for myself, because sometimes I have a bad memory when it comes to the characters I create, because I create such large casts. So I do have to use tags, but I try and make them multiple so that there's a variety and I can always remember. Characters was an outstanding chapter in this book. I wrote 3 pages of notes, just pausing to flush out all of these character details and history that I want to bring to life in my next series, in a future fantasy series I want to write. Yeah, I'm excited. This will be good. Great chapter. Really just love writing the Breakout novel. It's fantastic. I hope you guys liked this video. I like this wine, and I like this video. So give it a thumbs up. Feel free, that was the wine talking. Feel free to subscribe and have a fucking fantastic day. Yeah, I said it. And yes, I do curse a lot in real life, because you are obviously wondering that. Have a great day. Do wonderful things. Cheers. Bye, you guys.